Hello dear students, welcome to our YouTube channel Smart PT Tricks. Today I am here in front of you with the good news that now we are starting our PT online classes. If you are interested, then contact us on the numbers given below. And thanks for your love and support. Keep supporting.
Music is an important part of our lives. We connect and interact with it daily and use it as a way of projecting our self-identities to the people around us. The music we enjoy, whether it's country or classical, rock and roll or rap, reflects who we are. But where did music, at its core, first come from? It's a puzzling question that may not have a definitive answer. One leading researcher, however, has proposed that the key to understanding the origin of music is nestled snugly in the loving bond between mother and child. In a lecture at the University of Melbourne, Richard Parncutt, an Australian-born professor of systematic At the beginning of the 21st century, the relationship between standard and non-standard language is, evidently, still an uncertain one. We are at a transitional point between two eras. We seem to be leaving an era when the rules of standard English, as selected and defined by prescriptive grammarians, totally conditioned our sense of acceptable usage, so that all other usages and varieties were considered to be inferior or corrupt, and excluded from serious consideration. And we seem to be approaching an era when non-standard usages and varieties, previously denigrated or ignored, are achieving a new presence and respectability within society, reminiscent of that found in Middle English, when dialed variation in literature was widespread and uncontentious.
Omniscience may be a foible of men, but it is not so of books. Knowledge, as Johnson said, is of two kinds: you may know a thing yourself, and you may know where to find it. Now the amount which you may actually know yourself must at its best be limited, but what you may know of the sources of information may, with proper training, become almost boundless. And here come the value and use of reference books, the working of one book in connection with another and applying your own intelligence to both. By this means we get as near to that omniscient volume which tells everything as ever we shall get, and although the single volume or work which tells everything does not exist, there is a vast number of reference books in existence, and is it scandalous that really valuable copyrights end up in the ownership of corporations, although Agatha Christie's no doubt worthy great-grandchildren are still reaping the benefits of West End success for her whodunits, and members of the Garrick Club enjoy the continuing fruits of A. Milne's Christopher Robin books? No, the scandal is that peasants politicians have attempted to appear cultured by creating private assets which depend on an act of parliament for their existence, and by giving away much more in value than any public benefit could justify. In doing so they have betrayed our trust. The writer, or for that matter, the speaker, conceives his God whole as a unity, but must express it in a line of words. The reader or listener must take this line of symbols, and from it reconstruct the original wholeness of thought. There is little difficulty in conversation, because the listener receives innumerable cues from the physical expressions of the speaker. There is a dialogue, and the listener can cut in at any time. The advantage of group discussion is that people can overcome linear sequence of words by conversing on ideas from different directions, which makes for wholeness of thought. But the reader is confronted by line upon line of printed symbols, without benefits of physical tone and emphasis or the possibility of dialogue or discussion. The invasion of non-indigenous plants is considered a primary threat to integrity and function of ecosystems. However, there is little quantitative or experimental evidence for ecosystem impacts of invasive species. Justifications for control are often based on potential, but not presently realized, recognized, or quantified negative impacts. Should lack of scientific certainty about impacts of non-indigenous species result in postponing measures to prevent degradation. Recently, management of purple loosestrife, Lythrum salicaria, has been criticized for lack of evidence demonstrating negative impacts of Salicaria, and management using biocontrol for lack of evidence documenting the failure of conventional control methods. Although little quantitative evidence on negative impacts on native wetland biota and wetland function was available at the onset of the control program in 1985, recent work has demonstrated that the invasion of purple loosestrife into North American freshwater wetlands alters decomposition rates and nutrient cycling, leads to reductions in wetland plant diversity, reduces pollination and seed output of the native Lythrum alatum, and reduces habitat suitability for specialized wetland bird species such as black terns, least bitterns, pied-billed grebes, and marsh wrens. If you're choosing to use the random pairing or are letting the college choose your roommate for you, you'll probably have to fill out some kind of profile or questionnaire. These usually include things like, what time do you usually go to bed? Where do you prefer to study? Do you keep your space clean or are you more messy, etc. When you're answering these questions, be as honest as possible. If there's something you're dead set against, e.g., a roommate who smokes, you can mark that, and you will not be paired with someone who fits that criteria. In terms of population characteristics, Australia and New Zealand have much in common. Both countries have minority indigenous populations, and during the latter half of the 20th century have seen a steady stream of migrants from a variety of regions throughout the world. Both countries have experienced similar declines in fertility since the high levels recorded during the baby boom, and alongside this have enjoyed the benefits of continually improving life expectancy. One consequence of these trends is that both countries are faced with an aging population, and the associated challenge of providing appropriate care and support for this growing group within the community. Before effective anesthetics, surgery was very crude and very painful. Before 1800, alcohol and opium had little success in easing pain during operations. Laughing gas was used in 1844 in dentistry in the USA, but failed to ease all pain and patients remained conscious. Ether, used from 1846, made patients totally unconscious and lasted a long time. However, it could make patients cough during operations and sick afterwards. It was highly flammable and was transported in heavy glass bottles. Chloroform, used from 1847, was very effective with few side effects. However, it was difficult to get the dose right and could kill some people because of the effect on their heart. An inhaler helped to regulate the dosage. Unzalks feature large circular tables that seat 9 students and can accommodate laptop computers for collaborative work. Typically, students bring their own computers to class and use the building's ubiquitous wireless capability. The classrooms are designed to facilitate hands-on activities and problems that require students to interact with each other to reach a solution. Students can display their work on large LCD screens mounted around the room to promote small and large group discussion. Each table is allotted 3 gooseneck microphones so that students can make themselves heard without shouting during group discussions. For many people today, reading is no longer relaxation. To keep up their work, they must read letters, reports, trade publications, interoffice communications, not to mention newspapers and magazine, a never-ending flood of words. In getting a job or advancing in one, the ability to read and comprehend quickly can mean the difference between success and failure. Yet the unfortunate fact is that most of us are poor readers. Most of us develop poor reading habits at an early age and never get over them. The main deficiency lies in the actual stuff of language itself, words. Taken individually, words have little meaning until they are strung together into phrase, sentences, and paragraphs. To overcome these bad habits, some reading clinics use a device called an accelerator, which moves a bar or curtain down the page at a predetermined speed. The bar is set at a slightly faster rate than the reader finds comfortable, in order to stretch him. The accelerator forces the reader to read fast, making word-by-word reading, regression and subvocalization, practically impossible. At first, comprehension is sacrificed for speed. But when you learn to read ideas and concepts, you will not only read faster, but your comprehension will improve. Many people have found their reading skill drastically improved after some training. Take Charles O., a business manager, for instance. His reading rate was a reasonably good 172 words a minute before the training. Now it is an excellent 1,378 words a minute.